Hello, everybody out there. We are live. What's up, everyone? Tune in, tune in. We got a fun show today. All right, we are live. Cool. I'm going to try my best to watch comments. I know I've missed a few of those in the past. So, all right, we are live. Cool. I'm going to try my best to watch. I don't want to hear myself, though. Okay, right on. So today we're going to welcome a very special guest. His name is Aaron Parks. He's with the Nebraska Film Association, and this is interesting because this coronavirus has affected so many different realms of what we know as business and entertainment. So I'm excited to talk to Aaron about kind of the ins and outs of how it's affected his world, and see the trickle down on how it's affected the performance industry and the film industry. So, and we might have some special guests join us later. We'll see how it goes. These shows have kind of been going on a little longer. So I'm going to try to condense it a little more and maybe have fewer guests and maybe just talk about, see if we can get more content in. So if you have comments, by all means, pipe up, ask questions. Aaron's a pretty cool guy. I'm going to see if he's out there right now. Let's see if he's available to join us. Hold on just a second. Hi, Aaron. Are you with us?
Hey, Mike. How's it going?
Good, man. Good. Great to see you.
Yeah, you too, dude.
Yeah, this is working good. I can hear you okay. I hope if you can't hear us, please pipe in and let us know. If you need anything changed on that area. We're still trying to work out the bugs with this streaming thing. It's new to me.
We got going mostly.
Yeah, it's doing okay. I think now I'm at Red Rebel headquarters. We'll see if the internet connection's a little better. So yeah, so this is good. Awesome. So tell me about, well, first of all, let's give the viewers a kind of an overview of, first of all, who you are and kind of what you do.
Well, I'm a producer and a writer. I'm based here in Omaha. I just moved back. It's been almost 2 years now, but a year and a half ago. Spent, I think, 13 years in LA and New York, going to film school and working in TV and documentaries, and as a writer for hire, as a development producer, and a bunch of stuff in between just to kind of, get there. And then came back to teach at UNO. Did a year there, and as a full-time teacher. Then this last year I went to adjunct at UNO in Midland.
Oh, cool.
And, teaching screenwriting and autobiographical writing. And yeah, so right now, I mean, I still kind of continue to do my big picture projects that I was doing out in LA. And but then also I've started sort of like a local video marketing company, that does videos, and I'd write stuff for people, and
cool,
doing like dentists and startup companies, and doing a government explainer video right now. So
sure.
But I really enjoy that stuff because it's pretty. It's pretty straightforward storytelling, and just the process of dealing with those companies and stuff like that versus the industry. So yeah, I'm from Fremont originally. Went to UNL for undergrad. Got the broadcasting degree, and then did Johnny Carson, some classes there as well. So
cool.
It was a while ago, like 17 years ago. So.
Yeah, crazy, huh?
Yeah,
that's nutty. It's funny because you and I just met. We actually met in Fremont. We were up there for a film. What would you call it? Convention, I guess.
The White Light City Film Festival. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And we took our company, Mid America Artists, up there just to introduce ourselves as agents. We're kind of a new agency in Nebraska, and we're feeling out how that's supposed to work. And it's interesting. A lot of people aren't used to having agents in Nebraska, so so people kind of look at us weird, and they're but it's also like needed. I really do think it's needed to make sure actors are not just doing gigs and jobs for Subway gift cards, because that's how it's kind of been. So when I met you, I knew right away. I was like, wow, this guy's sharp, and not only that, you're from Fremont, which my family
Right.
was one of the very first families to ever live.
Magical musical Sembrads, right? I think
right. So you probably are more my brother Nick's age. Did you go to school with him?
I think Nick we're a couple years apart.
Okay.
What year did you graduate?
I don't know what year he graduated. That's a good question.
He's a little bit older than me. I think he was like in the 90s, I think.
Oh, he's older than you.
I was 99. Yeah, he's a couple, but I knew who he was though. He's a few years older.
I think he's about 36 or 37 at this point.
Okay, well then maybe he's younger than me. So, but I know who he is. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, that's funny. I've got Lori Richards is watching. That's cool. Nice. Hi, Lori. Make sure to tune in, tap in if you have questions or anything. So yeah, it's an interesting connection between you and I. Like I said, I've got the Fremont thing, but you and I got into a conversation the other night. You called me, and it was one of those nights where I was just in the mood to talk, and you and I spoke forever.
Yeah.
You're doing just an incredible array of documentaries, and your ideas are awesome and sharp, and I love it.
Thanks.
I like it because, in the past, I've been kind of a rebel rouser with certain, bringing the spotlight on certain things. And there was tell us about your Fremont project. I think it's unreal, and it hasn't been made yet.
It hasn't been made yet. Been working on it for years. It's called a Never Event, and it's a true crime series set in the medical world that happened in Fremont. A doctor who gave a bunch of cancer patients hepatitis C through medical malpractice.
Wow.
And he fled the country. He was from Pakistan, and has never faced justice for it. And it created a lot of contention, because it actually bankrupted the malpractice fund in Nebraska, because they capped the fund in the 70s as a sort of a business, decision to attract doctors, because Nebraska has trouble attracting doctors, and so they did it for just to make it a better business proposition, and they capped it at like 8 million, and they never in the 70s did never imagine a scenario where 100 people would have to apply for it at once. So you actually had a scenario where the state was defending the insurance company of this doctor against the people of Fremont, the citizens of the state. And this was 2002, so it was free, healthcare for all. So
right, I kind of remember it happening. I mean, obviously it was in Fremont, so you hear these things,
Yeah,
but what an incredible deal! That was unreal.
Yeah, so the book is written. My one of my good friends' moms. She was a doctor, and her husband is a doctor, and she got cancer and actually got Hep C because of this guy. And Tom, her husband, put together the pieces and kind of did the detective work to say, well, hey, the only thing that brings all these people together is this clinic. And so they wrote a book with one of the lawyers to Travis Bennington guy. And so it's been a project that, it's gotten really close. I've been pitching it to networks with a friend of mine, and it's gotten really close a couple times to getting in the development machinery. But, now with things the way they are, I'm just kind of at the moment where I'm going to, maybe make it myself and start out kind of in the podcasting space, and just, because the closer you get to getting a project picked up, the longer those wait times are. Takes months and months and months to get a yes or a no, or to get, usually it's not even a no. It's sort of like, yeah, we love it kind of thing.
Well, you would think that right now is a hotbed time right now, because so many people are tuning into Netflix and Hulu and all these streaming services. So, I think right now, what a better time to, obviously financially they're probably booming, but are they investing in projects like this? Because yours is a series.
Yeah.
6 to 8 part series, I think, right?
They're picking stuff up, yeah, for sure. But it's also, Netflix is, Netflix, unless you go and bed yourself with the Tiger King or Making a Murderer,
right?
They're not going to deal right now with a lot. They deal mostly with big name talent, and that's why everything is so good, because, they're giving contracts and series to to the big names, you know, to the people they know they can deliver that high gloss content. So Netflix is sort of, you know, tough to get into for the little guy, you know. Even just getting your other documentaries and films picked up and streamed there has gotten harder and harder and harder.
Hearing your story and the ins and outs of how intense that got and how and where it went, and then it became political when he went back to Pakistan, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing is he goes back to Pakistan
and he became this big voice.
He goes and becomes a politician, a health minister, and for this anti-American party, and starts, you know, and so that scared a lot of the networks, is because, you know, the networks, rightly so, they don't want to, you know, portray, you know, Muslim folks in a certain light, you know.
At that time, especially, it was pretty, at post 9/11, it was pretty.
Oh yeah, I mean, 9/11 plays a big part of why he's not here, you know, and
unreal, man. The story is fascinating, and I really do hope that it gets made. And you and I have talked about how we can do that, and I'm totally on board to help you.
Well, and the time is not, you know, the time is not now. I think, Mike, it's like a couple months from now, and everyone's like, hey, here's this story about this broken, unprepared healthcare system, you know, like that's pretty apropos to what we're dealing with right now. And so, but yeah, I think that's sort of, you know, the industry is just kind of emerging from an emergency mode. You know what I mean? Like the machinery and stuff is, who's working from home is there and stuff like that. So they're finally, but also too, the uncertainty, people hate uncertainty. So, you know, while LA is in an uncertain lockdown period, it's going to be tough to get stuff rolling, but people are still working and buying stuff and figuring out. I mean, there's a whole industry based on these film festivals that got canceled. You know, there's a whole, you know, that's the distribution and those guys are trying to figure out how they get a hold of content too. So it's, you know, eventually going to be a good, you know, and the more that content submission goes online, the more it puts, you know, the average Joe and like our members, you know, able to put their stuff next to, you know, kind of the stuff that's coming out of LA. So
tell me about what I'm curious, you know, you moved back from a larger city, and so did I, about, it's probably been 12 years for me. I've been back in Nebraska. So tell me about the process of a guy in the Midwest trying to get seen in LA or New York or Chicago. Tell me about how that, in your experience, I mean, the big question with everybody in this field, right, is that, you know, we all want to live and breathe and operate and be monetarily fine in the Midwest. And it's not bad. It's actually been really good for me. I figured out ways to do it, but tell people out there how, if they want to put a show on Netflix, or if they want to get a show, you know, seen by the masses and bought, how does that work?
I mean, as far as like a documentary type or reality type show, you mean?
Let's just say it's like you're pitching a sitcom, or you're pitching something like that.
Well, sitcoms in TV world. I mean, that's sort of, you know, the thing you got to realize is, you know, a lot of people that don't live in a big industry center sort of have their idea of how the industry works.
Right.
And then they kind of meet the reality of, oh, that's how it really works. And you just got to accept some things, like, you know what I mean? Like for example, with my series, like even having the connections that I had, I was still going through a friend who was pitching it through his agents at William Morris. And William Morris's instinct was to say, because I've never produced a doc series, that we need to attach a production company to it. So the way to do it is kind of find people that are gonna, because if you're pitching a sitcom, you know, if you want it to get seen, you got to go up the ladder. You got to win some screenplay contests, you know, and you got to find a production company or a showrunner to take it on.
So,
you know? So that's very difficult. So, I mean, if you've got a sitcom, the best thing to do is to sort of take that and write it to be shootable and shoot the darn thing, you know, in sort of in sketch comedy sort of way, or however.
But you don't have to be in these. You don't have to be in one of these areas, is what I'm saying. Like, do you feel like Nebraska? I feel like Nebraska's obviously had a resurgence of film and attention lately in a huge way. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about you don't necessarily have to be in a big city to make
I mean,
kinds of productions, do you?
I came back because I had sort of had the connections and, can make the calls and stuff like that, to still get my projects into the ecosystem, but you don't have to. I mean, there's so much geared now towards finding talent. There's a whole industry to breaking new talent, where you can compete, in the national contests and stuff like that, if you're just starting out. But yeah, if you sort of know what you're doing, I've actually gotten calls because I'm out here now. The first year I was out here, I got more calls than I got the last year I was in LA. And they were from people producing stuff, for like, one was the Super Bowl commercial that we shot some footage for.
Oh, cool.
And one was, they were Salon or some men's magazine was shooting a piece on a restaurateur here.
Oh, cool.
And I needed a camera person.
So how do you get those calls?
Those are people that I just know, that I've worked with on, in reality TV production. A lot of those people are shifting to the commercials and branded content and stuff like that.
Sure.
So yeah, but you don't need to be there necessarily to get started. And if you do a good job getting started, then there are people that will help you kind of, get to the next level.
Okay.
Because there's someone in town that's a semifinalist for the Nickel Fellowship for the screenwriting, which is a huge deal. And so and that's going to get attention, and, going to festivals and, getting those wins, just kind of those things. The business is so built on filters that if you know what those filters are and you can kind of like prove, hey, I've done this, then you can kind of,
right.
People will you can reach out to people and,
So this is good. I mean,
only takes one no after 100, or one yes after 100 no's. So,
and everybody in the acting and industry world, I mean, it's all about really who you know to get you in the door, which has always kind of been the case. But I guess it's becoming what I feel, it's becoming a lot easier to get productions made in Nebraska, and primarily the tax incentive is huge at the moment. Well, predominantly for the Fremont area. Can you talk a little bit about that and why that is?
It's because Fremont is the first. Well, Fremont's not the first community. Fremont's the first community to have it voted on by the voters. Valentine was the first community to do it, and it's basically it's something that got passed like 7 or 8 years ago. It's a rural development fund called LB 840, and basically it allows any city besides Omaha and Lincoln to take whatever percentage of sales tax and put it into a fund and use it for local development. You've got a lot of towns that use that, like they're building old folks homes, you know what I mean? And in Southeast Nebraska, so you get to these, but then some towns are using it for very specific purposes, and some have just like kind of wide open, we can use this for whatever, and so Fremont has a pretty open plan, and they give, loans to, corporations out of it, you know what I mean? And and if you get in these towns, Fremont, Grand Island, Kearney, Blair, La Vista, any sort of town that has a lot of retail sales, it's a pretty significant fund. And so Fremont, Stacy Heatherly with the dig site, she did a lot of the work to convince the town fathers and the city council to put up this incentive. And so it's basically trying to mirror the national sort of state incentive that most people are used to, but it's a local incentive and a local spend. And I've established my company there because of it. And we're kind of working through, I'm kind of, educating them on the industry, because the people that I want to hire don't live in Fremont. They live in Omaha and Lincoln primarily. And so that creates an issue, but also too, the people that work at the chicken plant don't all live in Fremont.
Right.
So, there's a bigger discussion of how, because it's not my job to get people to want to move to Fremont, but I will establish a business there because of this. So it's open to any, all filmmakers can apply, and you have to have certain things
from a community. I would, have it being. It sounds like a good investment to me. I mean, if economic development with film is going to bring attention, if there's a movie filmed in a small town like Fremont, it's going to bring attention. It's going to bring money. It's going to bring caterers. It's going to bring all kinds of economic boost, in my opinion. I don't know why Nebraska hasn't gotten there sooner. I know they've always struggled with that.
Yeah.
The ins and outs that I've heard are that Ricketts is kind of held up on investing in anything to do with film because his father lost money, which I think is
I don't know. Yeah. I mean,
that's true or not, but that's what I've heard. But it's interesting why there's not more incentives for film in Nebraska as a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Alexander Payne movies, obviously. I think the Coen brothers shot something here not too long ago, but
yeah, they brought $1 million to Scotts Bluff. Yeah.
Which is incredible. I mean, so you've got these guys that want to shoot here, and obviously the Coen brothers can afford it. So they probably said, screw it, we need this shot. So we're going to pay we're not worried about a kickback. But this is something that's been in discussion for a long time, and it just doesn't make any sense to me why you wouldn't invest in the arts that way, because it's a no-brainer for that money to come to these little towns. And not only that, when I was a kid, I remember when Tu Wong Fu was filmed near Lincoln.
Yeah, I remember that. And
it was like the coolest. I mean, being in Lincoln and living in Lincoln was like unreal. I mean, my brother played pool with Wesley Snipes, at Sun Valley Lanes. Yeah. And it's like, what is happening? The whole thing was just so cool to mingle with Hollywood in that sense. And there needs to be more of that. It's just, I hope this is the beginning of something big, and it feels like it.
So. Yeah, I mean, look, we really, and the thing about the money coming in is it's money that's would never be there. You know what I mean? Like, because we just shot a movie in Fremont, with brought in 6 actors from LA, and they never would have stayed in a hotel room in Fremont, or bought $400 at Hy-Vee from the natural food stores, or actors come in and have per diem cash money in their pocket, and so they spend it on, some guys go to the bar, some people go to restaurants, like all those kind of things. So that money, but also I think with the statewide incentive, I mean, it's sort of embedded, it goes back to the 90s. I mean, there was a time when Lori and Lou Hunter and there were a lot of people were trying to get things done, and it's again, it's sort of I don't know, like, I feel like you got to explain things to people like where they're at. You know what I mean? Like, you can't, filmmakers a lot of times get into jingoistic jargon and it's talk to talk and stuff. And it's like, well, you got to be able to sell this to a farmer. You know what I mean? And so then there's a lot of education, that we can do as a community. And we had a really good meeting with Tony Goings from Economic Development.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And we're going to make a case to the governor, you know what I mean? But like the last governor, he called us a bunch of Hollywood big shot types or something in a meeting that my friend was in. And, he's also from Fremont. So I sent him a letter like, hey, remember me? Aaron from, Coach Parks' kid, like, you're talking about me now here, Gov, like, please, he was nice enough to send me a typed letter in the mail that was signed and said, Aaron, if they pass anything, I will sign it. And that's when they did sign the LB 840 thing. So
cool.
The big obstacle for us too has been finding another sort of person to take on the mantle in the legislature and introduce some legislation. But the thing we're trying to do right now is to get the new LB 720, which is just basically the TAC, basic development funds for, they love high tech and they love manufacturing. And so we're making a case, like, hey, we are tech, we are manufacturing. Can we just get a comma and, the film industry with all these incentives?
Right.
That would be another layer of, even just if you save people sales tax, stuff, things like that. So we just need to get on, I don't know what the solution is, you know what I mean? Like, I don't, but to just keep trying and having conversations and, and again, like most senators, like 80% of senators have one family member that wants to be in the industry or is in the industry, and so one of the big things we're going to hit on is attrition. That's the same conversation that's been happening in the state since I was, in college. And, because we can show that, like, okay, 70% of Johnny Carson's film school kids moved to LA,
Yeah.
We can go to Wayne State and say, okay, let's take a survey. Okay, 20% of current Wayne State film students don't think they can live in Nebraska and work in this industry. And then also too, I think tying film in the new age, now that we've sort of the industry is converging, tying film production to commercial video production,
Right.
and showing the wider gamut of the industry is
well, and that's kind of why we started the agency locally, is because we can put local actors to work, and there's a ton of actors and writers and directors and people in production here in Lincoln. It's unreal. So that's why it's such an odd thing for us to all of a sudden be getting them gigs and getting them jobs. And people are like, whoa, I didn't realize there was an agent that was working for us, And so that was interesting. And not only that, Red Rebel Media films a lot of these projects, for if somebody calls me and says, hey, I own a plumbing company and I'm making a video and I need a silly guy with, Buddy Holly glasses, weird hair. And I know a guy, you know what I mean? I can find that guy. So it's interesting to see some of the local productions that have happened here, and it all kind of means business for all of us, right? If we make a good ad locally, if we make a good commercial for a company, we're putting actors to work, and hopefully we're putting writers to work if it needs it, or we're definitely putting production people to work, like people who are behind the camera.
Right.
So that's awesome, and it kind of all facilitates itself within this notion of making Nebraska a hotbed of activity, just creating in general. So I think what you're doing is awesome. And I think, Lori Richards she's a part of the Nebraska Film Office. I don't know if she's still with us, but she was on the chat earlier. But I guess her role is, if somebody wants to do a production here, she facilitates the phone call. Is that correct?
What's that? I'm sorry?
Does she facilitate a phone call? Is that how Lori Richards plays a role in all this? She kind
of is the film officer. I mean, she kind of helps productions get to know the state.
Yeah. So if like Hollywood wants to bring a film here, I would assume they probably talk to her at some point. And this whole thing it's interesting. Now there's been an uptick in activity in film, and it's pretty amazing, man. I think there's supposed to be 2 or 3 major motion picture films being done in Fremont, Nebraska, which blows my mind. You and I are both from Fremont. So it just totally crushes me. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So I don't know. It's pretty incredible. What's the activity that's happening right now is pretty amazing. But let me ask you specifically, today's program, I wanted to ask what is your what was your view in the industry when the COVID-19 thing kind of happened?
I kind of got a week head start because I have a friend that works at the med center that said something. It was like, hey, just so you know, this is what the numbers say. So it's just kind of, felt like 2008 again, just kind of like, okay, here we go, kind of put your arms up in the air. And, I was really actively trying to fundraise for 2 documentaries, and that's just not going to happen for months now. And there's not gonna be a lot of businesses spending money on marketing videos. So just kind of, I don't know, take a day or 2 and think about, okay, well, what can I do? What's, because I think a lot of times to be successful, you have to have 6 or 7 projects going on at various stages. And, and then sort of, okay, what projects are at what stage that I can do something with now, you know what I mean? Okay, I've got something to edit. Let's go get that done. And then also just kind of, obviously besides just the basic, God, I hope everybody's okay. Like the pandemic aspect of it, just,
right.
Figuring out what comes next. In film school at UCLA, they taught us that, kind of one of the traits that defines really good producers is how easy they're able to bounce back from setbacks, and sort of how easy they're able to pivot, when things go wrong, because that goes from stuff on set to deals that fall through to everything. So, just shelter in place and, do some work and figure out what's next. I think that's what everybody's trying to figure out. It's one of those deals where we're all in the same boat right now. So, it's a crazy thing. And,
Well, obviously a lot of productions shut down. There was stuff that was actively filming that shut down, and so the actors are in the same boat. And if they were involved in any production, obviously you can't gather. So, those productions shut down. And not only that, we're talking, 3-4 months from now, productions are pulling the plug because you need that pre money for investment.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate because I didn't have any active productions. I have, feature film and a commercial and post, and then, doing development on a bunch of stuff and doing distribution on some stuff, but I don't have anything in production. So I really feel for the people that were, again, for the freelancers that had, because this is busy season, you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing about Nebraska is seasonally, it's very slow in the winter. And so a lot of people are just now kind of getting out and, trying to get out there and freelance. And God, there are people in LA. I mean, I have friends that, produced $1 million movies that had South by Southwest premieres slated.
Can you imagine that?
No, I don't even want to, because they probably laid out for a publicist. They probably spent 30 grand. You spend 30 grand in publicity if you go to a festival like that.
Right.
And that's, oh man, I feel bad, but there's, sort of.
That's a heartbreaker.
Yeah. So, and just the people working in the industry, and there's a lot of people that got laid off.
They would have lost more money, I think, if they would have proceeded with it, and then found out last minute, hey, we got to pull the plug. It's like Maha Fest Music Festival. This is music, but still, it's the same notion. They came out and said, we're pulling the plug on Maha.
Right, because now's the time that they have to start spending money.
Right, exactly. And
I had a gig. I was going to do some behind the scenes at the Blackstone Hotel for that. You know what I mean? I was going to do some filming. So,
and that's huge. That's a smart move, in my opinion. You can't get deposits back if something forced.
They say that South by Southwest might not happen next year because that happened to them. They laid out so much money that they lost it, and then they're taking people's deposits, and so that could get really ugly. So good on Maha for doing that.
Yeah, it's a heartbreaker. So many small businesses are tied to those festivals that I personally know, and that have lost tens and tens of thousands of dollars just on exposure. And it's, man, I tell you, it's I don't know, man. It's that's a heartbreaker, and so many people have been calling me and telling me about, oh man, that's a and it is what it is. I would have done the same thing. And you just can't. You have to, in the festival world, you have to plan, 6 to 8 months, sometimes a year out, and it's like, it's crazy. So. Lori Richards says, observation, take advantage of this time to reach out to industry. Everyone is looking for material to read as an actor or produce or direct, etc. Make this time of perfecting your screenplay. Dust off your acting career and get your resume together. Good. That's a good thought. Read as much as you can about the industry. It's all topsy-turvy. No one knows how this is going to shake out, but use this time to network.
That's right.
Surprised who will return your call. That is true. Thank you, Lori. Yeah.
Well, why don't you get on the phone right now?
She's right. This is and I've seen it in the music world, and I'm kind of both in the production, directing, acting, and also more so, probably more so in the music world. So I've seen this, man. People are sharpening up their projects. They're at home recording. They're getting demos done. So this is a good time to do that. But where do you see? You kind of talked a little bit about this, but I just want to wrap it up. And so, where do you see the industry going in the next year?
I mean, the next year, I think once production is ready to go, there's going to be a lot of pent up demand. It's going to be sort of one of these eras where it's going to be easier to sell your product. Because the thing you got to remember too is, talk back to Netflix. Netflix has spawned about 8 or 9 different competitors, and a lot of them have been gearing up. Right now, there's a lot of new streaming services coming online that are buying content. So there's going to be that demand for your stuff. I think it's going to be some, I don't know, quicker and easier sales coming up. There's going to be a lot of pent up production. I mean, on a local level, I think that the good thing for those of us that are doing marketing and stuff is it's showing the business people, because Nebraskans are like, oh, video, huh? Okay, yeah, right. You know, sort of the him and the haw at it, you know, and you know, try to talk you down and say it's not worth it. I think those people are seeing the value of what video can do for them as far as reaching people. I mean, you see people scrambling to go Facebook Live, and so it's good. You're going to see a lot of people get educated about how all this stuff works and start to see the value of it. So I think that's a positive spin. I think that, you know, there's going to be, you know, just the economy is going to be like a shotgun, I think, in all regards, because there's going to be so much, you know, going on as long as there's not a lot of it, you know, most companies can survive and stuff like that. But I think you might see, you know, people pushing towards types of productions that, you know, are you know, that are more like animation, right? You don't, you know, animation movies are still going because it's one guy working in a room over here and one guy working in a room over here. So you might see a push, and I think you'll see, and hopefully, you know, you see more emphasis on the medical documentaries. You know, I think we have enough Jilted Lover, Discovery ID shows, you know.
Right.
So it's going to be short-term pain, and then, you know, and then I think that it could be really good in the end. But I at this point, I don't know. You know, it's sort of.
Sure. Well, I love your documentary idea, and I really hope that it works out and we find the money it needs, because that story is simply, I mean, it's just incredible, man. And it's been kind of pushed under the rug as a Nebraska history thing. I mean, when that many people, what was it, like 90 people got sick?
Yeah, it was the largest Hep C outbreak at the time.
Unbelievable.
Just the confirmed cases.
In Fremont, Nebraska, too.
Yeah. Most of the people were truck drivers, farmers. You know, they got 85 grand in a settlement, $1 million in bills. You know,
wow.
You know, just good salt of the earth people that got. I mean,
yeah,
it was terrible. But yeah, and I've got another. Doing another. I was actually getting ready to raise money for my Aksarben documentary.
Oh yeah.
Which has a Facebook, Aksarben, Nebraska's racetrack, that people can check out. There's a ton of videos on that. And
is that, where can we find that?
That's, I mean, Aksarben, Nebraska's racetrack is the Facebook page. There's Aksarben Documentary, I believe, is the website. Yeah, and there's a bunch of video on there. We've got trailers up, and, you know, did a short proof of concept film and trying to make a feature out of it. Have a lot of, there's so much historical content too, and that's neat to see what the Horsemen are doing as far as, you know, they're still running at Fauna Park and are you know, benefiting from it, no one else running. So it might end up, COVID might save Nebraska racing. That would be a great ironic end to the story. But yeah, it's a historical piece, and it's about the horse racing industry, which used to be huge here, and
for sure,
another, you know, industry that's gone through a lot of attrition. I mean, all the great horsemen, you know, they live in Louisiana and Kentucky and all that kind of stuff, and they're kind of a lot similar to us film people, where, you know, it's tough to get the support here to make it happen, you know. So it's a really interesting, and Aksarben's so cool too, just the history of the money and how, you know, how the foundation continues to use it, you know, all the stuff that it funded.
Yeah.
You know, it's
a
really neat project. Exciting.
Looks like it. I don't know if folks can see this. Hold on just a second.
Yeah, should be a trailer in the videos section.
So it would be Aksarben, Nebraska's racetrack is what we're looking at. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's cool too, just how many people have personal connections to the track in Nebraska, you know, and sort of the personal stories and, you know, all the old photos. So yeah, that one with the little girl, that's the trailer, I believe.
Yeah. Let me see if I can play this.
Ooh, sweet.
They're off into the wrestling handicap. And it is that 50 and Wood.
Sorry.
Aksarben was the premier place that everybody on the map knew.
You were riding, that apron was just full of people. The war was just a mess.
To many people, as I travel around the country, still consider it the best place they ever went in their life.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our tour of Aksarben. Take a look around and see just what the entire field encompasses. As we said before, the best in the West, and the only thing backward about Aksarben is the spelling, right?
That's right, Mike.
We were known as that little big track in the Midwest. Oaklawn Park, they would close. Everybody would come here.
First time I went to Aksarben, came up with my dad. He had a good day. I remember him counting money all the way home.
I started working for TV Smith at Aksarben in 1968 when I was 7. And so all through grade school and all through high school, I worked all summers at the track.
We used to go ice skating at the Coliseum on Friday and Saturday nights as a young girl. That piece of property was a piece of me growing up.
Aksarben was wonderful, and when I was a little kid and we'd go there, that's all I could dream about was getting to Aksarben, getting horses to run there.
These horses were all people just come from all over to see them. We used to run for $250,000 purses, and those days are over now.
Wow.
Unfortunately, I mean, horse racing just lost out to other forms of gambling.
It was hard. It was hurtful. It was ugly. I don't think we will ever have an issue like that again.
You can't explain Aksarben. And when I drive by there, still to this day, and look around, it just breaks my heart.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Good, right?
That is so awesome.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
That is really awesome. Let me figure out where I'm at here. Hold on just a second.
Yeah, there's some amazing footage out there from the State Historical Society, and then there's a lot of people that have preserved stuff. You know, there's an Aksarben.com with the dashes in between Aksar and Ben.
Oh, sure.
And he saved, this guy, Joe Ananya, saved hours of footage from KETV and the different news stations. And, you know, it's got a whole great, you know, full episodes from '83 of Terry Wallace at the track. They had a whole half-hour package show on KETV. And, you know, it's amazing. The broadcasting of that is actually better than what ESPN was at the time. And so it's really kind of an interesting, it's neat just to kind of use the track as a way to show the development of other things in Omaha too. Like, cause we had a really, really amazing broadcasting industry and advertising industry at the start. And we, you know, sort of things we got out of local control, kind of lost a little bit of that, but, you know, so it's cool to show like, wow, here's this really advanced TV station that, you know, became amazing sports broadcasting because of Aksarben. You know, there's a ton.
Yeah.
You know, if you went to the J School in Lincoln, like I did, there's a ton of people that started out in those local markets and, you know, have gone on to do great things. So,
well, when I was a kid, you know, my family trained racehorses at Aksarben, so I have a really tight connection and deep emotional connection to Aksarben. And so, as a kid, we used to spend a lot of time running around those fields and hot walking horses and doing all kinds of really fun stuff around that area. And man, watching that really hit home. I can't wait till that gets done. Is there any date on that, or is it just kind of sitting in the wings, or what's
in the wings? I mean, I've been working on another Vietnam documentary and have kind of been leaving that in the wings, you know, while I do these other things. But I was, you know, this fall was really hoping to get serious about it, you know, because it's all you know, it's about 5 more interviews and a few months of editing away from being done. So.
Oh, cool. Wow, man, I can't wait for that. That's going to be fun.
We'll find a good local outlet for it on TV or something like that. And
that is cool.
Anchor the distribution plan. So, yeah. So.
Oh, man, you're doing some awesome stuff, Aaron. It's so great to get to know you, and this is just the beginning of a cool relationship. I really think you're doing so much cool stuff, and, you know, the more and more I get sort of into the fold of what Nebraska has to offer creatively, you know, I start meeting people like you, and it's always just a refreshing jolt of inspiration. So
thanks, man.
Yeah, you're really tight. Well, I mean, seriously, we for two hours the other night, and it was like, man, we got to do something. Yeah.
It's important to do that at this time, to talk to other people and see what they got going on and what they're thinking about. Because what time you spend inside your head, you know, it's just, I mean, you gotta, you know, start even if it's just ideas, start collaborating with people and, you know, just keep moving forward the best you can, how you can, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, man, I completely agree. And when I meet somebody that's on that level, it's really exciting. So I can tell that people like yourself are not going to stop. You know, you're going to continue to be creative. You're going to continue to kind of be, you know, to put yourself out there and get in the limelight. So that's awesome, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, anything else you want to throw out?
I gotta say hi to Ted Wright.
Oh, that's Teddy.
Man.
Yeah, Ted Wright's he's the stuff, man. I just I helped him recently with a website for his company, and
oh, beautiful.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Great product.
Yeah.
Talk about service.
Yes, Nebraska Textile.
Mm-hmm. Ted, you know, and Ted would hold me when the LA got too rough. You know, there was a bunch of us out there that he would, you know,
nice.
Hollywood was breaking us down. He'd punch us in the arm and make us go get drinks. So, yeah, so love you, Ted.
That's awesome, man. That's great. Well, this is cool. I want to keep bringing, you know, Nebraska people together and have these discussions and make sure people know that there's ways that we're figuring it out, you know, and
sure.
Businesses are changing and morphing for the better. And yeah, if you have any production ideas or need anything written, you know, get a hold of Aaron, man. He's tied in and he knows the right people, and he might be able to get some eyeballs on it. So anyway, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Keep rolling, buddy.
Thanks for doing this with us. We'll this technology is great. We'll keep doing it in the future.
Absolutely. I want to chat with you more. All right. Cheers, man. We'll talk soon.
Take it easy, man.
Take care. So that was Aaron Parks. Very, very cool. Very cool stuff with the Nebraska Film Association. So make sure to check out their Facebook page or find out more information about the Nebraska Film Association. They're always doing super cool stuff. And reach out to Lori Richards from the Nebraska Film Commission. So there's all kinds of cool people doing great stuff. You just have to find them. You have to reach out and find out about it. So these are the people that a lot of projects go through when they happen. So make sure to get your name known with them. So I appreciate those folks coming on. Man, what a cool Nebraska documentary that was. I can't wait to see where that goes. And the footage was really cool too, man. It brings back a lot of memories for me growing up on those fields and even in Lincoln too. So anyway, that's all I got today, folks. Tune in. We're going to maybe go Friday. We'll see. At this point, reach out. Lori Richards says next time reach out to Heather Marion and Krista next time. It'll be available for comments. Oh, cool. I will do that. Thanks, Lori. Appreciate you tuning in today. Much love to you. And I'm sure we'll talk soon. But anyway, y'all, tune in Friday at 10. We're going to hopefully get some real estate folks on and see if I can get Cody from Kincaider on. I know we've been talking for a long time to get him on. So talk to some of those local brewery people that are still slinging beers out their door and roadside beer delivery and even physical delivery. I know some folks are delivering beer, so that's unbelievable. Anyway, much love, y'all. We'll see you very soon, and stay good. Much love.